Hi friends, in today's session we shall discuss about epithelial dysplasia. We learn what is epithelial dysplasia, how it starts and what are the classic features of it in a very simple way and in a way that you can understand and remember. Before going into the details of epithelial dysplasia proper, I would like to discuss a little bit about the changes that happen in the epithelium due to some external forces. So let's take a small group of cells of epithelium. Here is the basement membrane and here are the cells. I have just taken 4 cells to show all the changes. Sometimes what happens, because of the external agent, the cells may shrink in size and such shrinkage is called as epithelial atrophy. Sometimes they may increase in size, okay, and this is called as hypertrophy, epithelial hypertrophy. And here is a situation where there is increase in number of cells. There is no change in the size of cell but increase in number of cells, and it is called as epithelial hyperplasia. And if the number decreases, you call it as hypoplasia, epithelial hypoplasia. Here is a situation where the one mature type of cell changes into another mature type of cell and it's called metaplasia. Sometimes when the cells become totally disorderly, architecture and cellular changes happen in the cell, and this is called as dysplasia. And beyond this stage, when the cells, these atypical cells start invading, breaking the basement membrane, and also they gain access into the blood vessels, and such atypical cells and the situation called as neoplasia. And once the neoplasia sets in, it is an irreversible change. All other changes are reversible. If you remove the causative agent, all these changes can be reversed, but once this neoplastic change sets in, then there is no going back. Now let's understand what is epithelial dysplasia. In simple words, this dysplasia can be described as presence of abnormal cells within a tissue or organ. It's not a cancer, but it may turn into one sometimes, not always though. It can be of mild type, moderate or severe, depending on how abnormal the cells look under a microscope and how much of tissue or organ is affected. Now when we say that dysplasia is presence of abnormal cells, it is important for us to understand how does this cell turn bad. Here is a cell with its nucleus and the DNA inside the nucleus. Here is a mutagen or a carcinogen, which can be tobacco, alcohol, arecanut, chemicals, UV rays or X-rays, etc. hitting the cell. Now when that happens, the DNA gets damaged. So if the damage is mild, the p53 gene of the cell, which is called as the guardian of the genome, will stop the cell from entering the cell cycle and bring about repair of the DNA, and after that it will put the cell back into the cell cycle. If the damage is severe, then two things happen. This p53 gene will bring about programmed cell death of the cell called as apoptosis, or it can put the cell into the senescent pool where the cell cannot divide. It's called as senescence of the cell. In both these times the cell cannot enter the cell cycle. Now if the p53 gene is mutated in a cell, then the DNA damage cannot get repaired, and this unrepaired cell will enter the cell cycle, undergo uncontrolled proliferation, leading to the formation of neoplasia. This is how a bad cell hit by the mutagen will turn into a neoplastic cell or an atypical cell. Now apart from the DNA damage related causes for the formation of neoplasia, which are called as genetic reasons or causes for neoplasia formation, we have certain non-DNA related issues or non-nucleotide associated issues leading to neoplasia formation, and these are called as epigenetic causes, and they can be modifications in DNA methylation, in histones, in microRNA, and all these leading to gene expression alteration leading to neoplasia formation. Both these genetic causes and epigenetic causes can be hereditary. Another interesting theory is that for a cell to turn bad, it needs two hits. What does that mean? Every cell has a pair of chromosomes, and these pair of chromosomes are matching pair of chromosomes. They contain the same set of genes in a particular locus called as gene locus. So they code for a particular trait. Here, what we see, these are all the gene loci on the matching pair of chromosomes from each parent. So let us take one example, that is a gene here, that is tumor suppressor gene, which can be RP or P53 gene, and these tumor suppressor genes are of recessive type. Here, if one gene gets mutated, the other gene will compensate for its action. So if one gene is mutated, which is called as the first hit, the other gene is active and it will take care. But for a cell to turn into a cancer cell, the other gene, the copy of the gene that is there on the matching chromosome, also needs to be hit, and that is called as second hit, and only then the cell turns into a cancer cell. And this is called as two hit hypothesis given by Knudsen. Epithelial dysplasia may be a feature in potentially malignant lesion and potentially malignant conditions. Previously, they were known as pre-malignant lesions and conditions, but now they are called as potentially malignant lesions and conditions. By definition, this lesion is a morphologically altered tissue in which cancer is more likely to occur than in its apparently normal counterpart, and a potentially malignant condition is a generalized state associated with a significantly increased risk of cancer. Together, they are called as oral potentially malignant disorders, or popularly known as OPMDs. And these may evolve into neoplasia. There is a possibility that they may not evolve into neoplasia as well, because they are potentially malignant disorders. That is, there is a high risk of turning into malignancy, but there is no compulsion that they all have to turn into malignancy. That is why specifically the term potentially malignant is being used. Now the interesting question is, which cell turns bad? The answer is, any cell can turn bad to cause cancer. So here we have basal cells, which are stratum germinativum. They are always dividing because they are stem cell group of epithelium. And these active cells, when they are undergoing division, there is a risk of damage, and hence they can get mutated, right? And they can turn into cancer cells. Whenever there is a group of active cells, there is chance of damage and they turn into cancer cells. Just one example is, when we are sitting idle at home, are we at risk? No, not much. But if we are active, we are running around, we are traveling on the roads, then there is definitely risk of us getting injured. Similarly, basal cells are not idle cells. They are highly active, they are always dividing, and these cells are at risk of undergoing DNA damage during division, and they can get mutated by external agent and can turn cancer cells. But are the superficial cells spared? No, they are not spared either. These cells can also get activated due to the external agent, and they can undergo mutation, and they can also turn into cancer cells.